You don't want any?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna make me sleep even more.
Really? Hi, everyone. We are pouring our chamomile, organic chamomile tea here.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm just a little tired.
She's over there. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
There she is. There you
You
are.
can see me, right?
Yeah. It's tea time.
Tea time.
Honey, honey. Have some honey, honey. We swapped spoons. Have some honey, honey. So today is day 22. 22. And we're going to be reading Genesis 43 and 44 and Mark 9, verses 33 through 50. So, yeah. Chamomile. Okay. Genesis 43. Joseph's brothers return with Benjamin. Oh, this is when they're going to see the baby brother, or Joseph's going to see his baby brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now the famine was severe in the land, and it came to pass when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Egypt, and that their father said to them, "Go back, buy us a little food." But Judah spoke to him, saying, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' And Israel said, Why did you deal so wrongfully with me as to tell the man whether you had still another brother?" But they said, "The man asked us pointedly about ourselves and our family, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' And we told him accordingly to these words. Could we possibly have known that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" Like, exactly. It's like, "Why did you tell me you had another brother?" Well, he asked us if we had more family, and we told him we didn't know he was going to say, "Okay, now bring your younger brother." They didn't know that. Then Judah said to Israel, his father, Then Judah says to Israel, his father, "Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned this second time." And their father Israel said to them, "If it is so, be so. If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds." So they had pistachios and almonds, but there was a famine. Oh, okay. Maybe they needed bread or whatever. "Take double money in your hand and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also and arise, go back to the man. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved." So the men took that present and Benjamin, and they took double money in their hand and arose and went down to Egypt. And they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of the house, "Take these men to my home and slaughter an animal and make ready, for these men will dine with me at noon." Then the man did as Joseph ordered, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they thought they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may make a case against us and seize us to take us as slaves with our donkeys." When they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, they talked with him at the door of the house and said, "O sir, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it happened when we came to the encampment that we opened our sacks, and there each man's money was in the mouth of this sack, our money in full weight, so we have brought it back in our hand. And we have brought down other money in our hand to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks. But he said, Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. Then he brought Simeon out to them. So the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys feed. Then they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, and they heard that they would eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the earth. Then he asked them about their well-being, and said, Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive? And they answered, Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is alive. He is still alive. And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. Then he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me? And he said, God be gracious to you, my son. Now his heart yearned for his brother. So Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep. So Joseph knew that this was his actual real full brother. So he went somewhere else and he started crying.
Benjamin?
Yeah, so Joseph saw that and he knew Joseph knew that was his actual real full brother. So he went,
Yeah.
he had to hide to cry because he didn't want him to see. Wow, that's my brother. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. Seen his real brother. He didn't know he had a full
That's
brother.
a brother.
Yeah.
No
And he
half-brother.
went into his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and he restrained himself and said, Serve the bread. So they set him a place by himself and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to the birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked in astonishment at one another. Then he took servings to them from before him, but Benjamin's serving was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with them. So he gave his actual full brother a ton of food. Here you go, a whole bunch of it. And he commanded the steward of the house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and his grain money. So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning dawned, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. When they had gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, Get up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is not this the one from which my Lord drinks, and with which he indeed practices divination? You have done evil in so doing. So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, Why does my Lord say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we also will be my Lord's slave. And we also will be my Lord's slaves. And he said, Now also let it be according to your words. He who with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless. Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. So he searched. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city. So Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, What deed is this you have done? Did you not know that such a man as I can certainly practice divination? Then Judah said, What shall we say to you, my lord? What shall we speak, or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of our servants, of your servants. Here we are, my Lord's slaves, both we and he also with whom the cup was found.
Wait, what's divination?
Maybe it's just prayer, divination. Like, is it not? It's divination. Let me see. I thought it was like a prayer thing. Divinate. Divination is the practice of using occult rituals or techniques to gain insight into situations or questions. It can involve interpreting omens, visions, or sights to fortune. Oh well, he's a fortune. He's not a fortune teller, but he does dreams. Remember, he's the king of dreams. He's the one that, I guess that's what he said that he used it for. I don't know. Okay. So, but he said, "Far be it from me, I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go up in peace to your father." Judah intercedes for Benjamin. Then Judah came near to him and said, "Oh, my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's hearing. And do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh. My lord asked his servants, saying, 'Have you a father or a brother?' And we said to my lord, 'We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him.' Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him.' And we said to my lord, 'The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die.' But you said to your servants, 'Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall see my face no more.' So it was when we went up to your servant my father that we told him the words of my lord. And our father said, 'Go back and buy us a little food.' But we said, 'We cannot go down if our youngest brother is with us. Then we will go down, for we may not see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us.' Then your servant my father said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me, and I said, Surely he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, you shall bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to your servant my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up in the lad's life, it will happen when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the gray hair of your servant our father with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with me? Lest perhaps I see the evil that would come upon my father." Oh, the next one is Joseph's revealed to his brothers. That's the best part. But that's tomorrow. Nuts.
We'll have the best part tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good one tomorrow, guys. You gotta be with us for that one. Okay, Mark chapter 9, verses 33 to 50.
Sit up now. I've rested my back enough.
Okay, 33 through 50. Well, that's the rest of it. Okay. Who is the greatest? Then he came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked him, "What was it you disputed among yourselves on the road?" But they kept silent, for on the road they had disputed among themselves who would be the greatest. And he sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "If anyone desires to be the first, he shall be the last of all and servant of all." Then he took a little child and set him in the midst of them. And when he had taken him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever receives one of these little children in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me." Jesus forbids sectarianism. Now John answered him, saying, "Teacher, we saw someone who does not follow us casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow us." But Jesus said, "Do not forbid him, for no one who works a miracle in my name can soon afterwards speak evil of me. For he who is not against us is on our side. For whoever gives you a cup of water to drink in my name because you belong to Christ, assuredly I say to you, he will by no means lose his reward." Jesus warns of offenses. "But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into life maimed."
If your hand causes you a sin, cut it off. Isn't that from the Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah, when Carolyn is
Carolyn
sick.
had- Yeah, she had like a little weird scar on her leg, and she had to cut it off.
Yeah, she had to open up the wound or whatever.
Ow.
Yeah, rather than having 2 hands to go to hell into the fire that shall never be quenched, where their worm does not die, and the
Worm.
fire is not quenched. Yeah. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame rather than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into the fire that shall never be quenched. Yeah, would you rather if cut off an arm and go to heaven, or would you rather have both arms and go to hell?
Cut one.
Yes. Where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. That is so sad. Worms don't die. Like in hell, there's worms and there's fire, and the fire is never. You can never put it out with water. It's always burning. That's gross.
Mm.
Nobody wants to go to hell.
Mhm.
And
It's
if
not.
your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. Tasteless salt is worthless for everyone who will be seasoned with fire, and every sacrifice will be seasoned with salt. Salt is good, but if the salt loses its flavor, how will you season it? Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another. So you know how you love salt. What if the salt just didn't? You put a whole bunch of salt on your food and it just didn't taste like anything.
There
That's
was
no
a
good.
time there were times I accidentally put too much salt on stuff.
Oh,
and
that's
it
horrible.
It doesn't taste good.
It's never good with too much salt
Yeah.
or too much sugar.
Oh, Mom, remember this is something that happened to us at the Fresno Fair.
Oh.
Remember the lemonade? It just tasted like sugar water.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was so gross.
It was just like they put a whole cups of sugar in a little bit of water. Like, what are you? Yeah, it was bad.
Don't try it.
All right. See you guys next time for day 23.
Bye.